Good morning, children. Children, in the previous class, we tried to understand about the contract farming and the problems of the small farmers in Venkatapuram. The people like Ravi and Ramu, how did they face the problems we have seen in the previous session. Today, we shall learn about the small farmers in Telangana region. So, you know it very well, children, that small farmers in Telangana face a number of problems. Out of every 5 members, every 5 farmers in the state, 4 are the small farmers. Okay, very few are the landlords, and you know they own very little land and they have very poor irrigational facilities. And you know what is irrigation, children? Irrigation means providing the water artificially. Generally, agriculture requires water and they depend upon the rainfall. If there is no rainfall, they have to get the water from the bore well or from the open well or from the canals or from the tanks, village tanks. So from this they get the water. Such kind of cultivation is called as irrigation. Providing the water artificially is called as irrigation. And they also need to depend upon, or they also need to get the loans for the seeds and for the fertilizers from the money lenders or from the brokers. So they are forced to sell their produce at a predetermined price or at a less price than the market price, because these brokers extend the loans at the time of sowing the seeds. And to make the ends meet, they have to work as laborers also in other field, not only in their field but in other fields also they have to work in order to meet their ends. That means in order to get the food, they work even in the others fields, because what they grow in their field is not sufficient. And in most of these small farmers fields, children, only one crop is yielded. So in a year only they cultivate only one crop. And if you look at the conversation with a big farmer in the Venkatapuram, see, Ramu took us to his employer. So Ramu is a small farmer who is working under a landlord. So he took us to a large farmer who is called as Vijay Kumar. The tractor, yesterday we were talking in front of the Ramu's house. That is Vijay Kumar's tractor. Vijay Kumar's house had a big compound wall. We went to his house. He has a big compound wall inside which we found a paddy harvester even. You know what is a harvester? A big machine, okay, that will cut the paddy fields. So that big harvester, and a thresher is also there, and a tractor trailer. So these all things are present in his house. Laborers were unloading the harvested groundnut plants, and about 10 to 15 women are plucking the pods in the tiled shed. There is a shed inside his house where the 10 to 15 women workers are plucking the pods, the groundnut pods. What in the beginning of the class we have seen, in the beginning of the lesson we have seen, was in Ravi's field they were plucking, 3 women, the Padma and other people who were plucking the groundnut pods in the Ravi's field we have seen. But whereas in the issue of Vijay Kumar, in the house, in the tiled shed, they were doing that plucking of the groundnut pods. And Vijay Kumar told us that this year he has a good harvest of groundnut, and I asked him, when are you going to sell it? Then not now, I'll sell it after drying it for a few weeks, because it's wet. So after getting it dried up under the hot sun, then I am going to sell it, he said. So Vijay Kumar has a large kallam means where he can dry it, where he can pour on a big floor, okay, and he can put it for the drying. That is called as kallam, or this kallam is also called as a threshing floor. Threshing means where the paddy can be threshed. Threshing in the sense, I think agricultural jobs, I think you know it very well. After cutting the crop, grass and paddy has to be separated. So that process of separating the grass from the paddy seed is called as a threshing. So he has a large kallam which is used even for the threshing also. He also has a godown, a large shed to keep the paddy, fertilizer bags and even farming equipment in that shed. And since the fresh groundnut sells at a low price, he usually gets it dried and sell it after a few months, where he gets a good price even. So traders generally pay higher prices to the dried groundnut, Vijay Kumar said. So for that reason he gets it dried up on this column, but whereas small farmers doesn't own all these kind of facilities. So for that reason they sell the dry. where they are paid very lower price. But whereas Vijay Kumar has a large column, he can dry it for a long period and he can sell it for a higher price. And Vijay Kumar has 25 acres of land with 3 bore wells in these 25 acres, and his paddy fields are in the command area of the village tank, for which he doesn't require the bore well. So command area in the sense, if the tank is opened, if the wall is opened, then the water flows automatically into his field. So he doesn't require, village tank is there, Ur Cheru. So from that village tank, from that Cheru, he gets the water to his paddy fields. So he also borrowed 25 lakh rupees from the bank and to buy the harvester and the thresher. So this harvester and thresher, he also sends it on a rent. So to the people whoever are in need in the village, to the small farmers, he charges and he sends as a rent also. And he hires them. Hiring is nothing but sending on a rent. So many farmers in the village also take in the Venkatapuram as well as in the surrounding villages. They take the harvester and other equipments of the Vijay Kumar on rent. And with all this additional income, Vijay Kumar is able to buy more and more machines, bore wells, and lease more land also from other small farmers. Vijay Kumar gets some more income from selling the milk of more than 20 of his Murrah buffaloes. He also owns Murrah buffaloes which give lot of milk. So even that milk also will be sold by Vijay Kumar. So he also has a fertilizer shop in the village. Through this fertilizer shop, he supplies the fertilizers to the village people nearby the Venkatapuram and surrounding villages. He also gets income from that. Vijay Kumar has another house in the city, in the nearby town, in which his wife and children will live. So listening to our talk, Vijay Kumar's 78-year-old father also has come and joined us in the discussion. We shall see about this discussion in the next class. Children, thank you.